you boob! Skeletor, I'm gonna kick your ass in a moment. Fuck you, He-Man! Hey folks, how you doing? Dave Mcrae here. What's going on? What's happening? Hey, oh my God, I don't even have my lights on. Don't have my lights on. 1 second here. Gotta get my little blue lights on. This light, one of these two lights always seems to go out. It's because I'm not, one of the sockets I keep plugging it into, or maybe it's the actual charging itself. Anyway, one of these lights will probably go out. He-Man, you boob! That's my He-Man cam. I'm gonna keep that there for a while, and then whenever I feel like moving over to He-Man cam, I think that's what I'll do. Hans Gruber. Skeletor has been into the edibles again. He hang. That's right. He's been into the edibles. Let me put my hang on a sec here. I gotta move that around. Okay, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 167 of Mcrae Live. And the date today is Friday, April the 30th, 2021, 12:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is the date today, in case you were wondering what the hell the date is. It's a little... Anyway, it's hey, what's going on? What's shaking? What's doing? 1 month today, ladies and gentlemen. 1 month today. The It's Me, Billy movie is released. 1 month today, 4 weeks to go. Friday, May the 28th, 2021. It's Me, Billy gets released today. 1 month today. Hard to believe we are a month away, ladies and germs. A month away. Insane stuff. Hi. Okay. All right, so today on the show, I want to talk about, maybe this will be a series. Oops, I don't know. Now listen, in the original Halloween, or even in, this hoodie is one of those weird ones where everything's like, there, I look like a Jedi now, or a Sith. I'm a Sith Lord. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father. Yes, he did. He told me you killed him. No, I am. Shut up, boy. No. Okay. So, what was I going to say? Maybe I'll make this a series. I don't know. Listen, because in a lot of low budget horror films, it is not unprecedented to find, mistakes, goofs, and we know about 90% of them. I would say maybe even more than that. There's the John Carpenter cigarette smoke. I bet a lot of you thought, judging by the thumbnail, that I was going to be talking about the Carpenter cigarette smoke. And because that's, of course, the scene where it happens is by the bush. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, we will see it, and it's there. And I guess it is a mistake. I mean, it's not. But here's the thing with the cigarette smoke, is that, yes, technically it's a mistake. It is a mistake. But it's so like, you barely notice it, and you got to really be looking for it, or somebody's got to point it out. And it almost looks like it could be anything. It's not like this waft of smoke comes by, and you see all like this smoke bellow into the, it's nothing like that at all. It's like one of those little circly whiffs that go by, which could be anything. It could be a springtime fluff that went by. It really could be anything. If you didn't know it was cigarette smoke, if nobody pointed that out to you, you would not watch that movie and go, whoa, did you see that cigarette smoke go by the screen, Bob? Holy shit. Hey, get over here. Look at this cigarette smoke going by the screen. I mean, no way. There's no way. It doesn't even look like cigarette smoke. I mean, it looks like it when you know what it is and somebody points it out to you and you're like, oh yeah, I can kind of see that. You know what I mean? Because you know now. But it's not like it's, no, it's not. Yeah, that's right. Tony says the fog. That's right. Like it's not like that. If that's what you're referring to, maybe you're talking about something else. It's not like that. So yes, that is there. Yes, it's not supposed to be there. And yes, you do see it, but it's nothing major. However, in that scene, after the bush scene, and Lori and Annie are leaving the bush and they're walking away, you do see something that would be probably considered in the realm of Halloween and in the realm of Halloween mistakes or goofs. It's a deep cut. Now, it's known out there right now, but it's the kind of mistake that not everybody knows. Like everybody knows about the cigarette smoke. You know what I mean? Like it's everybody knows about the cigarette smoke. Not everybody knows about this one. Now, a lot of people do, and if you're a hardcore Halloween fan, you probably do. But it wouldn't surprise me if people in the chat here don't know about it. It wouldn't surprise me if people don't know about it. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all if we start to see some people going, oh, holy shit, I never noticed that. Oh my God, I never noticed that. Holy shit, right? Wouldn't surprise me because it is in the background where your eye is drawn to as an audience. You're drawn to the two characters on screen. So you're not really looking beyond that per se, right? You are drawn to the characters on the screen. And it is masked by the foliage, by the bush. It blends in, and depending on which version of Halloween you're watching, whether you're watching it on VHS, whether you're watching it on Blu-ray or 4K, or whether it's the 35th anniversary DVD or the 25th anniversary, because the color timing and grading can vary, and sometimes things can blend in a bit more depending on what you do with the color grading. So, now, I've known about this mistake for quite a few years now. I did not find it on my own. It was pointed out to me as well. And I was like, oh, holy fuck, I never noticed that. Holy shit, right? But once you see it, you'll probably never be able to not see it. And it's nothing major. I mean, it's the kind of mistake that it is definitely a mistake in the sense of that it's not supposed to, but it could be totally justified. Do you know what I mean? It can be totally justified. So what am I talking about? You're like, Dave, just get to it. Just get to it. All right. Let's go over to the other screen, not the He-Man cam, but the other screen. And we are going to watch this scene play out. Okay. And then we'll get to the moment of what I'm talking about. Now, maybe I'm a little too far behind here. I don't want to get a huge copyright. Okay, so here we are, and the girls are walking along the sidewalk. Da-da-dee, there they are. Yeah, so you're gonna go to the dance tonight? Yeah, okay, I gotta, here we are. I gotta go now. Okay, see ya. Yeah, this is my place. Oh, no, not yet. I'm a little ahead of the game here. They're still chatting. Come on, Annie. See you guys. Bye. Yes. I love it. PJ Souls is awesome. There's Michael Myers. Oh, no. And he's too busy looking for her, condoms? I don't know. And, he's gone. Oh, no. Annie, did you see that? Where? That guy you yelled at and went so fast, you know? Subtle, isn't he? I'll take care of this. I'll take care of this garbage. You little son of a bitch. Come here, bitch. Come here, bitch. Hey, creep, you damn bitch. Lori, dear. He wants to talk to you. He wants to take you outside. There goes the cigarette smoke. Did you catch that? Here, we'll go back for those of you that may not even know about that one. Maybe you guys don't know about that, but we will see the cigarette smoke, okay? Pay close attention now. Pay close attention in this area up here, right here. Oh, there it is. I'll have to pause it. I'll have to pause it actually against the foliage because the foliage is darker and you'll be able to see it. Again, this is not, in case you're just joining us, this is not the goof I'm talking about, okay? There it is, right in here, right in there. Okay, so keep your eye right there where my cursor is and you'll see it move away. There it goes. There's a cigarette smoke. But that's not what I'm talking about. That's a common mistake everybody knows. Did you see the cigarette smoke? Yeah, we saw the cigarette smoke. It's amazing. But again, it's not like a waft of, I mean, that could be anything. God, it could be anything. So there we are. Okay. Poor Lori scared another one away. Now watch over Annie's left shoulder. Our right, Annie's left shoulder above the bush. Watch up in here. Watch up in here. Watch up in here. Watch these guys. Oh, look at that. Look at that. These guys are on the, two guys on their porch. Two guys on their porch checking out the movie being made. Two guys on their porch checking out the movie being made. Did you notice it? Have you ever noticed it? Now, they're not part of the crew. They're not part of the cast. They are just, I don't believe so anyway, not as far as I know. They were just people who lived there, I assume lived there, who were watching a movie being made. Remember, this is a low-budget, independent horror movie made for $320-something thousand back in 1978. It's not, I mean, now, did they get permits to shoot on this street? Maybe, probably, but they certainly didn't have the budget to cordon off streets and fucking go all over the place telling people to stay inside your fucking homes. And no, and they themselves may not have even noticed it when they were editing. They may never have even noticed it when they were editing. Now, is it a mistake? Is it a goof? Well, this is a matter of semantics, right? Because there are things like real mistakes, like, oh my God, we see, you know, a crew member in the reflection of the fucking phone booth, which you do see in this movie as well. Or it's like, oh no, we see, you know, the boom mic comes into a shot or something, which I don't see in this movie. I'm just talking about in a general sense, right? Yeah, those things are like real mistakes that no matter how you try to justify it in your own mind, the boom mic shouldn't be there. Like, how are you going to justify some random boom mic breaking the fourth wall? Like, I mean, you just can't do it. You can't do it. So there are definitely technical mistakes that are difficult, dare I say, impossible to justify in your own mind to make the viewing experience that much better for you. But sometimes there are things like this, like the cigarette smoke, or this, which is the one that I wanted to talk about here, which you can justify. Maybe they're just, you know, they're two young guys and they're checking out these two young girls. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you know, hey, Bob, check out those hot chicks. Hey, there's Annie and Lori. There's Annie and Lori, right? You know, and they get up on their porch, you know, they're doing this kind of thing, right? Totally justified in your mind. But that's actually not what's happening there. That's actually not what's happening. It's two guys who are watching a low-budget, independent movie being made. And so they're like, hey, let's check. Oh, look. They're onlookers. They're curious. They see, you know, the camera and the crew, and they're like, hey, this is kind of cool. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's entirely possible that they may have been spoken to as they were walking along the sidewalk. One of, you know, maybe a PA or, you know, one of the producers or maybe Carpenter himself, who knows, probably not, would have gone up to them and said, hey guys, you know, you can sit here. That's cool. No problem there. But just to let you know that we're going to be passing by here. Try not to, you know, get in the shot or whatever. But as they passed by, as they went by the bush and they continued on down the street, there was this perception that they were out of the way. There was this perception that they're down there now and we don't have to worry about showing our faces, right? That's what I would imagine. And if you're ignorant, especially in 1978, you're two young guys. I don't know who they were, whether they were filmmakers or just two bystanders. They were probably just two bystanders sitting on their fucking front porch watching a little, you know, independent movie being made, right? There's probably other people along there that are looking out their windows, but we just don't see them. So, you know, and then when the crew and the camera went further down the, the sidewalk, they were like, oh, doing this kind of thing, right? Wanted to see what was going on, not realizing that they actually got themselves into the movie. So let's watch that again. Well, I'll show you what I mean here. Lori scared another one away. I'm going to zoom this up actually a bit more so you can see what I'm talking about. And we'll try and focus in on that spot specifically. That spot specifically. Okay, here we go. Poor Lori scared another one away. Oh, Paul. Oh, Paul, I give you all. It's like Iron Maiden or something. Okay, watch up over here. Here we go. Right over here. Do. Keep watching, keep watching. There they are. There's the first guy, right? Let me go back a little bit. Hang on. Sorry about this, guys. 1 second here. 1 second here. I got to go back. 1 sec. Actually, you know what? What am I doing? I'm doing it the old way. Fucking just 1 sec. 1 second. Okay. Now I can go back. There we go. That's better. I'm doing it the old way. What am I doing, Dave? Get with technology, Grandpa. Okay, yeah, here we are. There they are. There's this one guy here, right? He's in a yellow shirt. Totally 70s haircut. He's standing up. He's like, what's going on? Now, Jamie Lee Curtis is looking back, not at him. It's not likely that she's looking back at him because she's in character, right? She's in character. She's in the moment. So she's looking back at the bush. That's what she's doing. It makes sense for her character to do that. As Annie is continuing to talk, she's looking back at the bush because that's where the weird guy was just standing, right? So she's kind of looking back. She's scared, right? Because some people have speculated that is she looking back because she sees them? Now, maybe when she looked back, she does see him. Maybe she does see him, but that's not the intention. That's not the motivation. That's not the motivation for her character to look back. The motivation for her character to look back would be because it's part, she's in her role, right? She's in her character. She's looking back and it would have been funny to ask Jamie Lee Curtis. That's a question. See, that's a deep cut right there. That would be an interesting question to ask her. Do you remember, and I know this is like a long time ago, do you remember ever seeing those guys? She'd probably say, no, I didn't even, because she's not even thinking about them. She's not even focused on them. She's probably looking over here, right? And it's difficult to see because his shirt is yellow, the foliage is bright green and brown, and it would blend in. But his buddy over here, watch in a second here, he stands up as well. It's harder to see him, but there he is. Right in here. It's harder to see him, but he is definitely right in there, folks. He is right in there. If you look, he's right in there for sure. For sure. There's two of them. So you can kind of see his face right there. That's his face. But see how it blends in with the foliage? But that's his face for sure. Fascinating stuff, folks. Ah, there's the guy. There he is. Here comes his buddy. There's his buddy. They're like, oh, yeah, look at those two hot chicks. Yeah. Ooh. Look, you can still see them. You can still see them. They're just standing there. And then they go by the bush here. Amazing stuff, folks. How many of you big Halloween fans have ever noticed that? How many Halloween fans have ever noticed that? If you're watching me live, of course, you can comment in the comments in the chat room. If you're watching after the fact, comment below and let me know. Have you ever noticed that? Did you ever notice it? There's no doubt that there will be some people that will definitely say, oh yeah, I know that. It's not, like I said, it's not completely obscure. It's not like, wow, Dave Mcrae's just fucking found like something, wow. No, not at all. It's been out there for a long time, but it's one of those more deeper cuts. You know what I mean? It's not one that's talked about a lot when you hear, Halloween and movie mistakes talked about. You know what I mean? So, that's why I wanted to talk about it. And I bet you any money there will be people that will look at this thumbnail and think, oh, he's going to be talking about the cigarette smoke, right? Because that's what everybody talks about during this scene here, right? But I very rarely have seen people talk about that one. Now, again, you can justify it in your own mind. No issues there. You can just say it was just two guys probably around their age. Maybe they knew them. I mean, maybe they went to school with Annie and Lori, and that's actually, John and Kevin, sitting on the porch. You know what I mean? And they're like, hey, there goes Annie and Lori. Hey, that's it. It's John and Kevin. Hey, there's Annie and Lori. Man, I wouldn't mind getting with her. Or maybe it's Ben Tramer. Maybe it's Ben Tramer. Ben Tramer. You got to say it like that too. Ben Tramer. It's Ben Tramer. Maybe it's Ben Tramer and his buddy Carl. I don't know. And they're like, hey, there's that Annie. There's that Annie and Lori. Dude, I think you should get with Lori, man. I don't know, man. She's like nerdy and shy and shit, but Annie, man. Woo! Annie, man, I want to get with Annie. Dude, go get with Lori. She likes you, man. She likes you. Yeah, I know, but I'm more into brunettes and I am blondes, and Lori just seems too shy, man. Yeah, you know what they say about shy girls? You know what they say about shy girls, dude. I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to do this. It just doesn't feel right, you know? Like I've been attracted to Annie for so long. Dude, fuck Annie, man. That's exactly what I want to do. No, I don't mean it like that. I mean, screw her, man. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No. I mean, don't worry about her. Oh, dude, I gotta worry about her, man. It's like, she's my girl. No, go and be with Laurie Strode. She's hot, man. I'm telling you, I saw her one day, like coming to school in the tight sweater and stuff. I'm telling you, you gotta be with her. That's what you gotta do. I don't know. You think that's what I gotta do? Yes, dude. All right, listen, I'll go trick-or-treating tonight. I'm wearing this really cool mask, by the way. It's like a Shatner mask painted white. It's weird. It's fucking weird with blonde hair and shit. And I'll go out, I'll go trick-or-treating, and then maybe I'll think about actually, I don't know. Listen, I'll tell you what. If somebody calls me tonight asking if I'm interested in Laurie Strode, I'll just say yes. Okay, I'll say yes. I'll say yes. Okay, I'll say yes. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm gonna go get with Annie. Now let's take a look at them. Holy shit, you see those girls? Oh, holy fuck, man. Maybe that's what happened. There it is. I just created the conversation that is happening on that porch between those characters. I just created the conversation on that porch. That's what's going on. Tabitha Short says, Dave doesn't drink coffee. No, that's right, I don't. I hate coffee. Absolutely hate the taste of coffee. The last coffee I had was over 20 years ago when I was driving back to college. I stopped off at a Denny's to get something to eat, and there was a long drive ahead of me, about 5.5 hours, and I was like, I'll have a coffee, I guess. But I hate it. I didn't finish. I hate the taste of coffee. I always have, always will. I haven't had a coffee in over 20 years. I just hate it. Hate it. It's disgusting to me. It's an acquired taste. It's disgusting. It's gross. It's gross. It's fucking gross. I don't like it. But power to you if you do. I mean, that's amazing, right? But yeah, that's the conversation. That's the conversation that is happening right now. Or that's the conversation that happened on the porch. I'm telling you right now, that's the conversation that happened on the porch. Let's go back. There they are. You can see them. Let's go back here. Woo, there they are. There he is. That's Ben Tramer right there. That's Ben Tramer. He's just getting another look at Laurie Strode to see whether or not that night he was going to admit, because it's at that moment, because you see, Ben Tramer didn't want to go out with Laurie Strode. And it was at this pivotal moment, this moment in time right here, that Mr. Tramer is checking out Laurie Strode's rump, that he realizes, you know what? I think I might have a crush on her. I think, you know what? She's not bad looking. She's all right. And his buddy Carl, whoever the hell Carl is, was responsible. This hoodie is all weird. Was responsible for getting him to stand up and take a look. And it's Carl that actually has a crush on Annie, but Annie is with Paul, and Carl wants to get in on with Annie, but Paul's in the way, so he doesn't know what he's going to do there. But Mr. Tramer is totally into this is the moment. This is the moment that you've been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. This is now canon as far as I'm concerned. Can you imagine if this spread like wildfire and people now just go, hey, there's Tramer. There's Tramer right there. Hey, you heard it here first, by the way. Now, unless somebody else has made this connection, I don't know. But I'm telling you, you've heard it. You've heard it here first. It's Ben Tramer. Check it out, Laurie. This is the pivotal moment. This is the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch it. Do, 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 do. Here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes. Mr. Tramer. Oh, get my mouse out of here. Here he comes. He's excited. Oh, wait 1 second. Oh, no, what happened here? There we go. There he is. There he is. He's excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. There he is. Look at him. Look at his little head popping up right here. Right here. Look at his little head popping up. Whoa. Hey, you're right. She is kind of cute. That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. She's cute. Yeah. Maybe I will say yes if somebody calls me tonight asking if I'm interested. And then there's his buddy Carl right there. And he's like, yeah, I got to figure out something with that damn Paul guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. No, no. And then they just continue to watch them. They continue to watch them. Look, they're just standing there watching them. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Paul and Carl. Paul and Carl. Paul and Carl. What did you think? Have you ever noticed it? What do you think of my theory? What do you think of my theory? You think I'm onto something here? You think this is something that may be worth checking out? You know what I mean? You think this is, I don't know, there's something going on there. Jesus, this hoodie is, it's because the hood is so heavy. That's it. I'm doing the rest of the show like a Sith Lord. Oh, there we go. People are going to tune in and be like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, okay. Hey, yeah, what do you think, man? Comment below and let me know. I would love to know. Let's go over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying today. I don't think I missed any super chats. I don't think any super chats came in. No, not that I've seen yet anyway. What do you guys think? Have you noticed it? Did you not notice it? I don't know. Johnny T says, hey, Dave, a couple other random ops I picked up on. When Annie picks up Laurie at 6:30 p.m. on October 31st, it would be fully dark. Also, when Laurie is dropped at the Doyles, the front door is a French door. Oh yeah, for sure. The discrepancies between the night and the day. I mean, look, when they're traveling to Tommy's house, it like goes from day to night instantaneously. Like, how long were they driving? Like 4 hours or something? Oh yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. But it's forgivable. It's forgivable because a lot of what's around it is so strong. Do you know what I'm saying? It's so strong. So yeah, no, that's. But you are correct. You are correct. You are correct. Ba 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 ba. At 10829, as Laurie walks to the Wallace house, a little known goof or major plot point. I'm not sure what you're saying, Matthew Reed. At 10829, as Laurie walks to the Wallace house, a little known goof or major plot point. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know if you're making a statement or if you're asking a question. Where Nomad has gone before. Maybe it has been, maybe it was Ben Tramer and not Michael trying on his costume to scare someone before the night reveal. Maybe, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe that brings a whole other dimension to the situation then. Ryan Olshow. There I go again. Hey, Dave, out of the whole entire Halloween franchise, which Dr. Loomis and Michael Myers moment is your favorite of all time and why? Well, it would be something from one of the first two movies for sure. I would probably say, and Michael and Dr. Loomis are not in the same. I would say my favorite Dr. Loomis moment of all time is, I think his speech in Halloween 4 is great. You know, 6 bodies shared from here to Ridgemont. I'm telling you, Michael Myers in this town. He's still a killer. I think it's great. But I think the best Dr. Loomis moment really is from the original, you know, I met the 6-year-old child this month, because it's all you need to know. So many people don't realize that actually is, he's giving you back. He tells you so much in that speech, really, at the end of the day, without telling you anything. So I would say that's probably my favorite moment. He doesn't have too many moments with Michael in the original film, apart from the ending of the movie. In Halloween 2, I mean, same sort of thing, really. You know, but I mean, I don't like Halloween 5. I don't like him in the house with, beating him with a 2x4 and the whole fight. Like, it's just garbage. It's just garbage. And then 6, of course, is just weird. And I don't care what, this is my opinion, obviously. I don't care what version of Halloween 6 you watch. They're both garbage. You know, they're both ass. You know, one might be a little more ass than the other, but it's like, do you want the shit pizza or do you want the shit pizza slice? Well, it's still shit. I'm still eating shit. Like, no, but it's just a little bit of shit. Here, I'll just put a little bit of shit on your pizza. Yeah, but it's still poo. It's still like, what are we doing here, folks? What are we doing? So yeah, I'd say, but my favorite Loomis moment for sure is just the poetic sort of nature of his speeches in the original. I would say so. That would be mine for sure. Let me see. What do we got? Frank Riker. This sounds like the Joe Rogan workout routine skit. The Joe Rogan workout routine skit? What's that? I don't know what that is. I mean, obviously I know who Joe Rogan is. I watch him. I'll watch him depending on who his guest is. But I don't know. Hans Gruber, Dave, you are abusing your power. My power. Power. DMT Infinity says, it's so hard to believe you're already on episode 167 of Mcrae Live. Feels like only a few months ago the show just started. Yeah, I started the show in January of 2020. So 2020, actually. So I actually started, some people think I started doing live shows because of the pandemic. That's actually not true. I started in January 2020, 2 months before the pandemic. So that was always the goal. And it's not that I don't want to do more standalone pre-recorded videos. I do. I'd like to get more, I'd like to get back to that more. And maybe I'll take a break from doing, the live shows. But I started doing the live shows because it was just easier with my schedule as things got more busy and whatnot. But yeah, 167 episodes, man. That's crazy. 167 episodes of this, 109 episodes of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit, and then all the other shit that I've done. It's a lot. Yeah, 167 is a lot. But that's because I've been able to keep a pretty fairly decent routine, right? At least 2 or 3 times a week on average. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's hard to believe. 167. 167. Duke Flea, Dave, why don't you do a show where you do all the voices of the characters in Halloween? The way you did Laurie and Annie's voices was hilarious. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny. Obviously I couldn't monetize it, and Trankus may have an issue with it. Let's just put it that way. It just depends, right? Like there's some people can laugh, and can be like, oh, that's really funny. But there's a fine line between making fun of and mocking in a mean way and poking fun in a spirited way. Like I can poke fun, like I am capable, not everybody is, but I am capable at poking fun, not just at myself, but at the things I love. You know what I mean? Like I love Halloween. You guys know that. It's my favorite horror movie of all time. Duh, right? But I can poke fun at it. Laurie, what's going on? And I can because I love it. So I don't get offended. It's just fun. It's satire. It's you know what I mean? It's just fun. I think more people need to fucking laugh at themselves. We need more. We need less serious. We need people just to fucking chill the fuck out, and laugh and not take things so bloody seriously. So yeah, I could see myself doing maybe that moment at the Bush and it not being an issue. Doing the whole film though, and uploading the entire movie like that is probably going to cause problems. Having just like, a minute of it or something might be kind of fun. You know what I mean? Be kind of fun. Might be kind of fun. J.G. Michael, thanks, buddy, says, do you think there's a good film somewhere in Halloween 5? I think there's a very mean-spirited slasher in there. Some of the fan edits are good. Well, yes, I think the principle of what you're saying is correct, but that means we have to look at it in a vacuum, right? So, and the problem with Halloween 5 is that it is, by default, of course, and naturally, a sequel. And it is connected to a much larger story. And that is how the movie should have been rolled out. You can't, you could say, is there a great sequel somewhere in Freddy's Dead? Or, sorry, a great movie somewhere in, yeah, probably. But that means you have to have it as a standalone, not connected. It's its own thing. Like there's a lot of, hoops you have to go through to make that a reality. So yes, I think in principle you're probably right. It's this weird goth. It's like people who say, well, it would be good if it wasn't Michael Myers and it was somebody else, and it was, well, yeah, of course you can do that with any movie, right? Well, it would be good if it was a completely different movie. Essentially is kind of what we're saying, right? You know what I mean? Well, if you take this and you take that and then you make this kind of movie, which would make it a completely different movie, it could be a good movie. Yeah, that's true. So I agree with the principle of what you're saying, but do I think that there's a good Halloween movie in there related to the much larger story? I say no, because no matter what you do, you can't, you have to go through so many mental gymnastics and leaps and bounds to be able to justify why the Myers house looks the way it does, why the mask is the way it is, why so many other things are there and present in Halloween 5, why Michael all of a sudden is in a comatose state for, a year and unconscious and suddenly wakes up, and, all these kind. There were so many things that they explained in how, you see, that was the problem, is that in Halloween 5, they introduced all these weird things, but never gave answers to them, because it is on record. It's on record as saying, it's on record as either a cod or Gerard is his last. I always get his name. The director of 5. The filmmakers will just say it's on record of them saying, we'll leave it to those who make part 6 to worry about what the fuck this all means. And you can't. You can do that, but you can't do that. So, it's like they didn't. The Man in Black was created, and this is on record. The Man in Black was created because they felt they needed some sort of oomph to the movie, because what they were creating without the Man in Black was so dull and boring. They needed some other subplot to add some sort of interesting mystery element to it that could point to a much larger picture and more, but they didn't know what that was. So they left it to part 6 to figure it out, right? And it's like, yeah, maybe if it was a different kind of movie, perhaps, but I don't necessarily think on its own there's a good Halloween movie in there. I think you have to change the movie completely to get that. And look, there are certain moments in Halloween 5 that I think are pretty cool, like the laundry chute scene, but again, they're cool in a vacuum. That's a cool moment. That's a cool shot. That's a cool scene. You know what I mean? But shot, scenes, and moments, a movie, does not make a movie. They have to be connected to a much larger story, continuity, mythology, lore, and things have to make sense. And I think what should have happened really is that I think maybe if you would made a movie about a serial killer, that had sort of some gothic cult that was possessed by some sort of cult, or like make a different movie about that. Don't call it Halloween. You know what I mean? And just do that kind of thing. And maybe that's what you're talking about, right? Like, do I believe that? Sure. But you could do that with a lot of movies, you can do that with a lot of movies. But I don't think the film on its own is good at all. I just don't. I don't, because you're not supposed to watch sequels in vacuums. You're supposed to watch them connected to the larger story and mythology. You know what I mean? If they are a continuous story. Now, you can watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom and Last Crusade, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in a vacuum, to a point, because they are different stories set at different times involving the same character. So the only character in each of the 4 films, if there's no reoccurring, right? The only characters, I should say, that should make sense, continuity and all this kind of stuff, and have arcs, are the characters that are reoccurring. Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones, right? Sulla, when Marion comes back in, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, like all those things we need to kind of, But the stories in and of themselves on their own, you can judge them more in a vacuum because it's not one continuous story, right? Like Star Wars or a lot of horror franchises are. So I agree with what you're saying, like in principle, in terms of, yeah, I think we could probably pull that out and we'll pull that out and we'll kind of do this. But you're, by acknowledging that, we're, in my opinion anyway, we're talking about changing the fundamental fabric of the movie naturally to but no, I don't think there's a good Halloween movie in there. I don't. Not connected to what we know, no. Thanks for the question though, man. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. All right, 174 of you watching. If you're just tuning in, go back and watch the Halloween Oops. Was it a goof? I don't know. And no, we're not talking about John Carpenter's cigarette smoke. I mean, I do talk about that, but that's not what this was about for those of you that are just tuning in. This has nothing to do with John Carpenter's cigarette smoke. This is a little bit of a deep cut oops and goof that you as Halloween fans may know, but you may not. You may not. You may not, ladies and germs. Cody Buchanan sends in $5. Thank you, Cody. Says, Dave, I watched The Blair Witch Project the other night. Have you seen it? I certainly have. I saw it in the theater back in 1999. What's your thoughts on it, though? They did a good job marketing when it came out in 1999. Yes. Yeah, no, I saw that in the movie theater in August of 1999. And I remember it very well. I was also working at a movie theater at that time. And I remember having to hand out they were childlike popcorn bags, but I had to hand them out to people in the movie theater because some people were throwing up. And of course they use this. It's great marketing for a horror movie, right? It's so scary. People are throwing up. Now, with The Exorcist back in 1973, there were some people that were so grossed out it made them sick and they left the theater. That is true. Now that is the direct effect of the creative decisions of the movie in terms of the horrific imagery affecting you psychologically. Therefore, you are puking. That's crazy. That's wild, right? With the Blair Witch Project, it wasn't like that. But of course, I'm not saying they use it as part of the mass marketing campaign, but you did hear that connection to it. And as somebody who worked in a movie theater at that time, I can tell you it wasn't because of anything gross that happened on screen or anything that was overtly scary. No, it had nothing to do with that. I mean, you've seen the movie. This fucking tame as can be, right? It had everything to do with it being shot on 16 millimeter and having it blown up onto a 30-foot screen and a lot of the film being handheld. So there was a lot of shaky cam. And what does shakiness in a movie on a gigantic screen tend to do for a lot of people? Instill motion sickness. People were suffering from motion sickness because it was like, oh my God, like it's so big and everything's going like this. So that's what happened. And so I remember at the beginning of the movie, it was my job along with a couple other people, we were on shifts, where we would walk into the movie theater. And this is back when the stadium style seating of movie theaters was brand new, right? Like, the AMCs, you go to now and how, big screens and the stadium style seating. Well, that's the norm now, right? But, over 20 years ago, they were around, but they were just starting to come onto the scene. It was still really, really, really new, right? These like multiplexes with 14 theaters or 20 theaters and IMAXs. It was relatively new at that time. So I remember we would have to go in and we had these little doggy bags. Yes, Duke Fleet is right. The same as in Cloverfield. You are bang on. You are bang on with that. But that's a bit different because Cloverfield was shot to be that way, not to give you motion sickness, but it was shot to, it wasn't shot on 16, right? It was shot, it's a real film. It wasn't blown up to, it was shot to be like this. Whereas Blair Witch just happened to kind of be like that. Like it's difficult to, the principle of what you're talking about is the same, though. It is the same. Because I remember going to see Cloverfield in the theater and feeling a little nauseous. So anyway, and I remember saying to people, does anybody here suffer from motion sickness? And they were like, what? And I was like, and I explained it to them, like how I did to you here. And honest to goodness, if a theater had 100 people in it, about half the theater would raise their hands because I would offer them little popcorn bags if they suddenly felt nauseous to throw up in. And I remember, I don't know if this was the same time, like in terms of the same day, but I remember it was late at night. I was walking by the Blair Witch Theater and the theater door opened up. Now I'm working, right? I'm working. I don't know what I was doing. I guess I was going from one spot to the other or whatever. And I'm walking by the theater and the door opens and this young girl comes out, like runs out and like stops right by the door, and she didn't make it. She threw up. She threw up and I'm like, and I felt really bad. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no. I said, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I said, I'd rather you do it out here than in the theater onto somebody, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll get it cleaned up. So I had to go get one of those little, signs and put a sign there, and had to clean it up fairly quick though, because you don't want that fucking thing to smell, right? So we had to call maintenance to come and clean it up and all that kind of stuff. But that's what was happening. Oh yeah, that's what was happening. But you then heard some media outlets running with it's so scary, people are throwing up. It's like, no, that's not why people are throwing up, you sacks a lot. But it's a great thing to use for marketing. I get it. But that's not why people were throwing up. It was because of the motion sickness. That's why. And I know this firsthand because I worked when it came out. So that's what was going on. But yeah, I remember thinking the Blair Witch Project was okay. I mean, it's still a creepy kind of movie. And it is definitely a product of brilliant marketing. It was one of the first movies, period, to be marketed online, to use the internet to its full potential, to market a movie in such a vast way. It was marketed as a real thing, right? There's probably somebody still to this day who hasn't, who still thinks it's, real. It was brilliant marketing. I don't think the movie's overly that great, to be honest with you, but I think it's definitely nostalgic for a lot of people. It's definitely creepy. It definitely has its creepy moments for sure. 100%. It's not a bad movie in the slightest. It's a classic for its genre. It's a classic for its subgenre in terms of found footage. But it's definitely a product of its time. Its success was, listen, it was shot for, what was it? $15,000? $20,000, something like that. It made $155 million at the worldwide box office, I believe. I think it was 150 something. Insane. It was the highest grossing independent movie of all time. It was ridiculous. So yeah, definitely product of its time. But yeah, I did see it. And, I don't not like it. I own it. I have it. It's fine. It's fine. I don't think it's like, wah! You know what I mean? But certainly I think it's, I'm more fascinated kind of with the sociological aspect around it and how it affected, pop culture and how some people thought it was real. I remember my mom, rented it thinking it was real. And I was like, no, it's not real. And she's like, oh, fuck, that's garbage. You know what I mean? It kind of rubbed some people the wrong way when they figured out it wasn't real, but yeah, no, that's, I definitely remember it for sure. Yeah, I was there. Yep. Justin Simonson says, what trailers were you influenced by while doing the trailer for It's Me, Billy? None. There were no trailers that influenced me when I cut the trailers for It's Me, Billy. I did cut the trailers for It's Me, Billy. And I did all the sound, obviously, as I did all the sound for the movie as well. And Bruce would come over and he would look at what I have done, because obviously it has to meet his approval as well, being the co-producer and co-writer and director on the project. And he liked what I did. And he'll offer some notes here or there, whatever, but he liked what I did. He liked the creative choices I made for both the teaser and the official trailer. There were no trailers directly that I can think of that consciously inspired me anyway. But I did know that going into the trailer for It's Me, Billy, and the teaser for It's Me, Billy, I knew that I wanted it to be we shot the film on professional cinematic, equipment with a professional crew. And as you guys know, I've been saying this, it's a short film and it's a fan film in terms of genre, but it's a professional film through and through. And so I wanted the marketing to reflect that. And I wanted the trailers to reflect, you know, and I hate using this word, but because, you know, but hopefully you'll understand what I mean. I wanted it to look, feel, and sound very quote unquote Hollywood, because it needs to reflect the hard work that we've put into the film in terms of what we want to deliver. So, you know, when people are saying, "Oh my God, it looks like a big film, like an actual," you say, well, that's intentional, right? And it looks the way it does because we shot it that way. You know what I mean? And so I just knew that I wanted the trailers to have a very, you know, quote unquote Hollywood vibe, legit, very authentic, legit feel for it. That if you watched it and you didn't know it was a fan film, you wouldn't know it was a fan film. You would just watch it and go, "Oh, when's this hitting theaters?" You know what I mean? So that definitely was on my mind creatively when I sat down to piece it together and do the sound and all that kind of stuff, for sure, 100%. But any trailers that I can point to, like, well, the trailer for this movie or that movie, not that I'm aware of. I just knew that I wanted to have a vibe and a pace to it that was very cinematic, very, very cinematic. And you know, tackling these types of things is not hard for me, especially because I have my pulse to the industry so closely, doing this show and working in the industry and knowing people and knowing sort of the trends and the, you know, and the styles and, you know, and watching trailers. And of course I just know what the vibe and the styles and the trends are. So I wanted it to reflect that, but also be very authentic to the style and the tone that we're delivering as well, you know, and not show too much. I didn't want to show too much. Thank you, Justin, for the question. Really appreciate that very much. Hang on. I want to make sure I haven't missed any super chats. So it's just the one super chat that has come in, right? I believe so. I'm only seeing one. Just want to make sure I'm only seeing one. Oh, thank you, Darren, for doing that. Appreciate that. We'll just do that. Appreciate Darren tackling those trolls. Appreciate it. Andrew Stevens sends in $10 for the channel. Thank you, Andrew. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Fox Scully. Ooh, Fox Scully. It's like the X-Files, right? Hey, Dave, do you think Halloween Kills will retain Carpenter's eerie and suspenseful style seen in Halloween 1978 within the flashbacks, or do you think they will be in the style of Halloween 2018? Well, I think they're going to be in the style of 2018. I think that, you know, it's a situation where, I think it's a situation where, in terms of the aesthetic and the production value and how things look, the polish, how things look modern, yeah, it's going to look like a modern movie for sure. It's not going to have the, you know, the grain of 35 mil. I don't think so anyway, unless they're actually going that meta. And for the flashbacks, they're going to add a bit of film, you know, grain over, because most movies, if not all of them now, of course, are shot digitally. So maybe they'll want it like. There are things they can do in post-production to make the flashback look more retro through color grading, through film grain. But I don't necessarily think they're going to do that. They might do that. They may have done that. I don't know. But it's possible that is something they could do. If they wanted this to look very 70s, they may do that. However, I believe most of the flashback, if not all of it, takes place at night, obviously. So, you know, there's a lot, you don't see much, right? So I don't think they're going to worry about that. If we were going back to the daytime in 1978, maybe that's something you might want to consider. Add some film grain, you know, put sort of a warmer, yellowy kind of hue, like kind of match it to maybe what we were seeing a bit in 78. That might be kind of fun, you know, but at nighttime, I don't think it's nearly as important, and I don't think they're going to care. So I think in terms of production value and the way things look, I think the flashbacks are going to look modern. It's just going to be 1978. In terms of the creative approach, the eeriness, yeah, I think so. I know some things that you don't, but that doesn't mean it's going to translate onto screen. But I will say that I think that yes, you will get suspenseful moments in the flashback, whether that's right in line with what John Carpenter has done. Well, the jury is still out on that. We have to see the film and then come to the conclusion. Yeah, but it's interesting. Thanks for the question, buddy. Appreciate it. David Coe sends in $4.99, says, as a big Harrison Ford fan, I am. Did you see the video of him telling David Blaine to get the fuck out of his house? Yes, I did. Yeah, it was in Harrison Ford's kitchen. And he did, David Blaine did some sort of I don't know, magic trick, right? Some sort of illusion. And Harrison Ford was dumbfounded at it as I get the, yeah, that's like 2 or 3 years ago now? Something like that? 4 years ago, maybe? It was a few years ago. It was funny, man. And Harrison Ford, again, he's so dry. You know what I mean? His sense of humor is so dry and so he's just like, get the fuck out. I don't get the fuck out of my house, you son of a bitch. It's so great. It's so great. Justin Simonson sends in $5 and says, you think H-Kill soundtrack would sound like an updated H281? No, I don't think so. I don't think the Halloween Kills soundtrack is going to sound like an updated Halloween 2 from 1981. No. I mean, maybe, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter and Daniel Davies, I believe is his godson. I think they're just going to continue what they've done, and create new tracks, but also I think they're going to also use the same tracks that were in Halloween 18, but extend them. So add to them, fill them out, add maybe a few more layers to them. Now, whether that means it's going to sound like Halloween 281, no, I don't. Do I think it's going to have an overly, Halloween 18 had a very synth score, right? I think they're just going to continue that. I don't think you're going to be hearing any more synthy, like, oh my God, this sounds even more 80s. You know what I mean? I don't think so. I think they're just going to continue on with what they've done in the 18 film. For sure. It's even more 80s. Those of you that are just joining me, you're probably like, why does he have his fucking hood? This hood is very heavy and it pulls on this to go back. So that's why I'm putting it up so it doesn't do that. All right. Lee Bauer says, he was doing very well last night. Maybe someone been giving him lessons. Loomis drinking the whiskey and fucking. Maybe. Okay, did I get them all? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I believe I did. Doodly-doodly-doo. All right. We got Corey Dean says, I hope we get some actual suspense and less comedy and kills. I hope so too. I think you will. I think you will get more of that for sure. 100%. Absolutely. Let me see here. Back to the Crypt says Rocky is the most iconic. I guess he's talking to Robert Thidoff, who says, Dave, what is the more impressive career with being affiliated with two iconic movie characters, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones and Han Solo, or Sly Stallone, Rocky and Rambo? Well, again, I think it would depend on what our definition is of iconic, right? What's our measuring stick? If we're talking about box office, it's no contest. It's Harrison Ford. In terms of Indiana Jones and Star Wars, it's no contest. It's no contest at all. If we're talking about pop culture, that becomes a little more difficult, right? Not difficult, but it becomes a little more sort of, then what is the measuring stick? If it's not box office, which is generally people's first go-to because it's something tangible, it's something we can see, we can witness, we can actually measure box office results, which doesn't mean quality. You know, I've been saying this on my channel for a long time that, you know, you cannot they're not necessarily mutually exclusive to each other. Box office results can mean quality. It can mean, wow, a lot of people like the movie, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, because you cannot get if I go to see Halloween Kills and I don't like it, I can't return to the box office and ask for my money back. So even though I thought the movie was dog shit, my money still counts towards the box office total. So it's important that we understand that box office total doesn't mean that a lot of people liked it. It just means a lot of people went to see it. Or it's a good gauge of how many people went to see the movie. Maybe it's a good gauge of how many people were interested in the movie, right? That's a better gauge of that. So, but I understand why people tend to point to the box office to figure out, wow, but what's our measuring stick? Who's more iconic? So if it's box office, if that is our measuring stick, it's no contest. It's Indiana Jones and Han Solo. No contest. But if it's not box office, then what is the measuring stick? Is it, I don't know, taking two images of Rocky and Rambo, taking an image of Rocky and Rambo and taking an image of Han Solo and Indiana Jones and going out onto the street and finding who the average person can recognize the most? That's one way of doing it, right? That's how I came to the conclusion of what is the most iconic house in horror, right? If you are a Halloween fan, you're likely to say, Myers House! Well, it's like, well, what's the measuring stick? And my measuring stick was take, 5 iconic horror houses and go out onto the street and which house is the most recognizable to the average person on the street, not just horror fans, not just Halloween fans, the average person on the street. And although I didn't do this test, I came to the conclusion that I think there's a high probability that the likelihood of that would be the Psycho house. I think the Psycho house is probably the most recognizable to the average person. Okay. Whereas the Myers house isn't. I mean, that changes from movie to movie. You know what I mean? So anyway, so it all comes down to what our measuring stick is. Just off the top of my head, I mean, I don't know. They're two really iconic characters. I think Rocky, and this is a measuring stick as well, maybe what the character or characters mean, especially Rocky, what he means in the bigger picture to the average person. Rocky has definitely, I think, more people will resonate with the Rocky character. And this could be a way to measure what we mean by iconic. The character of Rocky is more relatable to the average person than Indiana Jones or Han Solo. The character of Rocky is about somebody who is down on their luck, is a Joe Schmo, not all that smart, Rocky is not about boxing. Boxing is the catalyst that it could have been about anything. It could have been about hockey, baseball, football, chess, fuck it, tiddlywinks, pick up sticks with your butt cheeks. I mean, fill in the blank. It's not about boxing so much so that it's about believing in yourself. It's about the relationship between Rocky and Adrian. It's about never giving up. It's about going out there and giving your best shot. It's about what he says in Rocky 6. It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how you can get hit and keep moving. You know what I'm saying? That really has always been what Rocky is about. And when that message strays away from the Rocky character in Rocky 3, it's Adrian and Apollo that bring it back home, right? Because he's down. He's letting fame and fortune get the better of him. He's losing who he was and what made him who he was. All those things that made him who he was. And the average person out there, most people can resonate with that. It's more relatable in our own lives. Maybe we're not boxers, but we relate to it in our own life. Rocky is an iconic symbol for believing in yourself, never giving up, right? Doing the best you can, being true to who you are. Do you know what I mean? Rocky has transcended the movies in a lot of ways to become a symbol of life. Now, that's very deep, and not everybody is going to go to that depth to think about Rocky in that way, but certainly that is something that Rocky has that Indiana Jones and Han Solo don't even come close to having. Nobody watches Han Solo and Indiana Jones thinking about, wow, life and never. No, not at all. That's not part of the character, right? So again, it comes down to what is the measuring stick for iconic. And I would think that, in some ways, if we want to say who's more iconic, Rocky or Indiana Jones, Well, in what I've just been talking about, Rocky is way more iconic. It's not even close. Do you know what I'm saying? But if we're talking about box office results and what fans might be more interested in or gravitate towards, or who has a maybe larger pop culture footprint in relation to this or that, well, then maybe it's Indiana Jones and Han Solo. You know what I mean? So it's a tough one to say. It's a tough one to say. But, and I know that's not the most romantic answer, and I know it causes people to think a bit harder, and it's just like people just want, black and white answers. But I think it's important that when we are measuring something, what's the bar? Because anybody can say anything then, right? Because then what we want to do when we talk about having a measuring stick is, because we're dealing with art and because we're dealing with movies, by and large, it is all subjective. Now, I do believe that the all film is subjective argument is not necessarily true, although it is true to an extent. But what we want to do is, when we measure something in the world of art and movies, we want to give the best answer, the most objective answer possible. We want to remove our emotions from it as best we can, who we like more as best we can, our bias as best we can, to try and measure something as objectively as best we can in the world of something that is largely very subjective. And that's why I always harp on having things like, a measuring stick, right? Because then it's like, oh, this is, I think it's a little more interesting rather than just Rocky. Well, why do you say that? Well, I just think it's Rocky because, he's the best. It's like, well, you know what I mean? Because it's been proven that if you are a big fan of Halloween, you love the Myers house. If I ask you, what is the most iconic house in horror? You're likely to say the Myers house, right? But you have bias, right? So that's what we want to remove. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox now, but I think it's important. It's a great question, by the way. It's a great question, but I think it's important. Ranked Shooter says, Indiana Jones and Han Solo are far-fetched, non-realistic, or relatable. Rocky meant more because he was relatable and the average a man Cinderella story in character. That's right. When we're and if that's your measuring stick, then Rocky wins, right? But it depends on the measuring stick. You know what I mean? But I agree with you. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, did you know John Carpenter came up with the head tilt idea? And how you doing? I'm doing well, Chester. Thank you very much. And yes, I did know that. Yep. Oliver Mercer says, in my opinion, there wouldn't be a need for Rocky to be in Creed 3. Agree 100%, because it's going to show Creed making it on his own and a good arc for him. Plus, Rocky went home to be with his son and granddaughter. I agree. I've talked about that on this channel before, too. I think it's important that people understand that, there's no need for Rocky to be in Creed 3, although but I also think there's no need for a Creed 3, unfortunately. Doesn't mean that Michael B. Jordan's not going to do a hell of a job and direct the shit out of a Creed 3, but I do think that Creed's story is done, as I've said here on this channel many times. I mean, really, at the end of the day, his story should have ended and peaked with avenging his father's death. Well, now that he's avenged his father's death, where do you go? You have to create reasons for him to continue, which may be good, but I think the whole thing should just die. I think just let it go, let it be done. But if you are going to make a Creed 3, okay, but certainly don't bring Rocky into it. You got to be able to leave the nest and stand on your own. And if you can't, well, there you go. What do we got here? What's going on? Jeff Harris says, hey, Dave, do you have a favorite Carpenter score besides H78? I think Christine's soundtrack is underrated. Jeff, I could not agree with you more. Also, my favorite Carpenter soundtrack outside of Halloween 78 is The Fog. I think The Fog soundtrack is fucking brilliant. And it's creepy and it's eerie and it's so 80s synth and it's great. I love The Fog soundtrack. Love it. So that would be my favorite Carpenter soundtrack outside of just Carpenter. Now we can point to Halloween 18. Halloween 18's got a fucking kick-ass soundtrack, man. It does. But of course, it's not just John Carpenter. You have to give credit to his son and his godson. So I mean, that's a joint effort. But if we're just talking about Carpenter, I would probably say The Fog. The Fog for sure. Love The Fog. I think it's an underrated film. personally. And I think it's Darren Sand's favorite Carpenter movie. I think, is it Darren? Is it one of your favorite Carpenter movies? If you're still watching, Darren? Darren might be busy working, I'm not sure. But definitely, I love The Fog too. I think it's great. It's great. Don Wilk 91 says the name Rambo alone has become known for pure badass to the point where people who never even see it know it. Yep. Oh yeah. No, it's used as sort of it's used as a like a term. You know what I mean? Like, well, don't go all Rambo on me. You know, well, fuck Rambo. You know what I mean? I mean, that line was even in Beverly Hills Cop 2. When what's his face shoots a bazooka into the back of a truck. And Taggart's like, fuck Rambo. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, no, for sure it is. And it's not that I've never heard people say, you know, who the hell do you think you are? Indiana Jones or what? For sure. But definitely you're right. Yeah, no. But again, what's the measuring stick, right? And that's another way to measure it, right? So whenever we talk about what, you know, what's the most iconic or what's the most this or what's the most loved, if you really want to do your best to get to a point where we're actually almost maybe figuring that out to a degree, then we got to try and move. We got to move as much subjectivity as we possibly can. We can't move it all, or sorry, we can't remove it all, but we got to try to do as much as we can anyway, as much as we can. Darren says on certain days I can appreciate the fog more than Halloween. Woo-wee. Yep, I hear you though. I hear you, man. I love it. The Fog soundtrack is so good. And yeah, again, it's dated and whatnot. My sister Jill always tells a story because obviously she's 15 years older than me. So when The Fog came out, my sister Jill would have been about 15 or 16. And she went to the theater to see it with her friend. And she dropped her, I don't think you guys have Smarties in the States. They're like M&Ms, essentially. So just picture like M&Ms, but they're called Smarties. Maybe you have them. I don't know, but it's definitely a Canadian thing. Or maybe it's a British thing. Anyway, she dropped, there was some, and I got to ask Jill what moment this was in the movie, because there's a few moments where this could have been, but there was some jump scare in the movie where she jumped in her chair and all her Smarties fell out all over the ground and everything. And it's like, shit, you know what I mean? I remember that. Oh, Nick P says, we have them. Oh, you have them. Okay, great. Maybe you have them now. Because I know that it's not an American thing. I don't believe anyway, because for years I know that it was not available there. Darren says, Smarties rock. Yes, they do. Smarties are great. I'm pretty sure it was a Canadian thing. Let me just Google this now. Or a British thing that came to Canada, obviously. Smarties. Nestle, yeah. History, chocolate bar, 82. The product Smarties, yeah. Get to the sort of in February 2005. Smart, okay, yeah. I think it was a British thing. Came from the UK for sure, which makes sense of why we would have them here in Canada. We're like, you know, we're basically England Junior, minus the accents, and minus, of course, the historical architecture. Yeah, this would take me too long to figure. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it was here first and then it went to the States. But anyway, so yeah, I love Smarties. Who doesn't like Smarties? But do you eat the red ones last? If you eat your Smarties, do you eat the red ones last? Do you suck them very slowly? Or something like that. Yeah, there was a song for it. It was great. Chester Franklin Jr. says, Dave, I didn't know that John Carpenter and Alan Howarth did the rest of the thing when, yeah, you know, are you saying his name? Are you spelling his name right? Let me see if that's his name. I know who you're talking about, but I don't think you've spelled his name correct. Oh, you did spell his name correct. Wow. Okay. I thought there would have been another, sorry, hang on a sec. I've lost my fucking page now. I lost my page. Where's my page? I thought there would have been another, fuck. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to do like 3 things at once here. I have like 7 or 8 tabs open up. I thought there would have been only one N, and that's why I thought, oh, okay. Okay. Anyways, I believe you pronounce his last name. Where are you guys? I'm losing you guys. I believe you pronounce his last name Morricone, I think it is. Ennio Morricone or Morricone, the composer, did the main theme and other cues. Yeah, no, it was him. It was him. Now, there's some sort of story around that. There's some sort of story around that in regards to that. But because I think Carpenter did something, but he never wanted to take credit for it or something like that. There's something like that. I'm a little unfamiliar with it, but something like that. Not sure. Yeah, rockets are great. Ryan S. says the state Smarties are rockets. Yeah, I love rockets. Rockets are great. They look like fucking drugs. Lauren Downing says Smarties have been around in the U.S. since I can remember. The chalky fruit candies. Well, they're not fruit. Oh no, those are rockets. Maybe you call. Do you call rockets Smarties down there? The chalky fruit candies are what we call rockets. Smarties are chocolate-covered coated candies like M&Ms with different colors. Unless those are two thoughts. Lauren, my apologies. Unless those are two thoughts. Okay. The chalky Smarties in America are different. This is vocal. The chalky Smarties in America are different than the British Smarties that have chocolate in them. Okay, there you go. Okay, so yes, there is a different, I'm talking about the chocolate covered Smarties that are different colors. They're very much like M&Ms. I think they're a little bit bigger than M&Ms, but they're different colors as well. That's what I'm talking about. Not what we call rockets, which I think is what you're talking about. Okay, there you go. There you go. Machete Slasher says, no, in the States, Smarties are not chocolate at all. Yeah, they call rockets down there Smarties. Interesting. Okay, well, let me okay, well, this is what I am talking about, folks. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I put that over to the other screen. Let me go to the other screen. Other screen. There we are. This is what I'm talking about. That box right there, Smarties, Nestle's Smarties, is what I'm talking about. That's what we have here in Canada. And I assume this is what you have in the UK as well. And this is what I'm talking about. Now, rockets, you see that right there? That is what we call rockets. Oh, 1 second here. Which is what you call Smarties. Yeah, no, we call them rockets. So there you go, folks. There you go. But the actual Smarties, oops, I almost forgot, are these guys. And I'm pretty sure there's the commercial. Anyway, I don't need to get into this, but yeah, Smarties pants. Holy shit. Anyway, yeah, so that's what my sister Jill dropped all over the floor of the movie theater. All over the floor of the movie theater. Oh, Darren puts in a link, and the link didn't go away. What is this? Let me see here. Yeah! Smarties! That's right. Yummy milk chocolate in a crispy shell. I love it. Smarties are so fucking good. Oh my God. You got to be so careful that you don't sit there. I could eat a whole thing in it's crazy. It's crazy. Next week on Mcrae Live, Dave will be diving into milk duds. Yeah, milk duds. Yeah, milk duds. Chris Baber says rockets versus Smarties. My whole life is a lie. It's true. It's true. No, we call them rockets up here. You call them Smarties down there. That's so fascinating. Nope. Us and we have M&Ms here too. We have M&Ms. We get the same. Oh yeah, yep, they're here. But Smarties is like M&Ms, but different. So maybe I'll have to ship everybody a big box of Smarties. So you got, or if you come up here to Canada, make sure you get some Smarties. Now there was a super chat I missed. Apparently, I think somebody said I missed a super chat. Here we are. Kyle Buckley. Yes, Kyle Buckley sends in $10. Thank you, Kyle. Says, hey, Dave, in a numerical rating system, how would you rate these horror movie icons in terms of popularity and quality of their movies? Michael, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, Pinhead, Ghostface, Chucky. Well, what era are we living in? Right now, it's Michael Myers. No hands. No. Well, again, what era are we living in? And are we talking about the horror community, or are we talking about the general movie-going audience, right? You know what I mean? But for the sake of your question, let's talk about the era we're in right now and the horror community, right? People who love horror movies. It's definitely Michael Myers, 100%. Then followed by Jason, and then probably Freddy, then Leatherface, then Chucky. Well, maybe Michael, Jason, Ghostface, maybe something like that. Pinhead and Chucky, I think, would be last, in my estimation. But if we're going back to the 1980s, it's Freddy Krueger. It's Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, then maybe, well, then Michael, maybe Michael, but you might be able to throw Pinhead before him, maybe. And I say that because Michael's, he was last seen in 1981 and he wasn't seen again until 1988. And in that time, Jason and Freddy were tearing it up at the box office. Freddy and Jason were way more popular in the 1980s than Michael Myers was. I mean, as I often say, to beat a dead horse here, but that is why if you grew up in the 80s and you were a kid like me through the 1980s, when you tried to dress up as Michael Myers, people thought you were Jason. I mean, there's reasons for that, right? Freddy and Jason were the kings. They were the kings. Michael was nothing. Not nothing, but nothing. You know what I mean? He wasn't, Michael didn't become popular in the pop culture and start to make his massive pop culture footprint in the pop culture, like the broader pop culture, until really Halloween H2O really is when he started to really make a big splash. And he's never looked back. And today, at this point in time, Michael is arguably more popular than all of them. But he's got movies as well. He's got a movie and two others that are coming out. So, let's even the playing field and get that with Freddy and Jason and, Chucky and Ghostface and see what happens, right? And see what happens and hope that they're good. But yeah, it would depend on what era we're in and who we're talking to. But I would say that's probably a likely scenario there, I would say. Robert Kitzmiller sends in $5 and says, Andromeda, how do we know it exists? And where can I find the information to learn more? There's this thing called the internet and scientific journals and NASA. And now if your question is said like, oh, you can't trust anything, we know we didn't do it. Well, then I don't know what to say to you. I mean, I don't know, it's people are going to believe what they're going to believe. They're not going to believe what they're not going to believe. But certainly there is evidence of the galaxy of Andromeda. There's photos of it. You can YouTube photos of it. There are, space, what are they called? What are those things called? Observatories and, in certain places where you can view it. I mean, if I can't have and I'm not saying you're saying this. I'm just saying that if somebody were to approach it from, well, I don't know, man, the moon's a hologram and, we didn't go to the moon and the earth is flat. And I mean, and I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying that if somebody is going to approach an argument from that standpoint, like, well, how do we know it's real? It's like, well, I don't know what to say to you. Like, I don't, well, how do you know the earth is round? Well, because we have images of astronauts doing spacewalks when you can see the curvature of the earth and you can see that it's round. Yeah, but I don't believe that. I believe, they lie about everything and I believe that was fake. Well, then I don't know how to, I can't, there's more evidence to prove that Andromeda exists and that the earth is round. And there's no evidence and no photos and scientific evidence to say that it's not. So, I mean, I don't know what to, until we can have measurable proof that the earth is, until I can see a spacewalk where there's somebody up there and there's just this flat plate, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. And I think it's important to remember, it's not that conspiracies don't exist. It's not that NASA hasn't lied or the government hasn't lied to us about things. No, we know this. The government absolutely has lied to us about certain things. Not all conspiracy theories are fake, are wrong, are incorrect, are tinfoil hat wearing idiots. No. There's evidence of shit going down for sure, but not everything is a conspiracy. And sometimes it can be difficult to keep that in mind, that just because a government will lie about this doesn't mean they're lying about everything. You know what I mean? Actually, that's the best way to lie, is you lie by lying and instilling truth. Sometimes the best way to lie is you lie, but you also tell the truth, right? Because then it confuses people, and you know what I mean? They don't know you know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying, is that there is more than enough evidence online, and scientific magazines and space magazines and photos and videos and all that kind of stuff to learn about the galaxy of Andromeda. Pretty cool fucking shit, though. Pretty cool shit, if I do say so myself, man. Pretty cool stuff indeed. 5 more minutes to go in the show. 5 more minutes to go in the show. 5 minutes to go in the show. Ranked Shooter says, what's the main thing that makes Michael Myers so scary and ironic? Ironic, or do you mean iconic? I know my reasons, but just interested in everyone else's. Well, for me, it's the anonymity of it. It's always been the anonymity and the enigma of the shape. It's the mystery and the mystique that surrounds the character. That's largely why I think he is so popular from a psychological sort of point of view. The more we know about Michael, the more we know, the more that the curtain is peeled back, the more that we know about his past and what makes him who he is, the less interesting he becomes. That's why people get caught up in mysteries and all that kind of stuff. And, the more we know about something, the novelty wears off, the mystique disappears, and he just becomes like everybody else. The one thing that, he's got, a few things, but one of the things that Michael has over Freddy and Jason is a mysterious backstory. Something that we don't know why he's doing what he's doing. He's an enigma. He's an anomaly. We don't know. Jason's backstory is very well known. Freddy's is very well known. Ghostface is very well known. Chucky is very well known. He's got that mystique, that aura. You know what I mean? And that can be very attractive to an audience. So for me, that's what it is. Brooke Louie sends in $9.99. Thank you so much, Brooke. Really appreciate that. Says, hey, Dave, have you thought about kids dressing up as Freddy Krueger, yet recall what made or caused him to be burned in the fireplace? Crazy. I think Wes Craven pointed it out. Have you thought about kids dressing up as Freddy Krueger, yet recall what made him... I'm not quite sure I understand. I do recall kids dressing up as Freddy Krueger. I was one of them, for sure. I dressed up as Freddy Krueger. Yet recall what made or caused him to be burned in the fireplace. Well, I think Wes Craven pointed it out. Sorry, Brooke, I'm confused on what you're trying to say. You don't have to send in another super chat. You can just @ me so it highlights my name and I'll be able to see it. Are you saying, do I know what? Maybe I'm just having a brain fart here. My apologies, Brooke. Yet recall what made or caused him to be. Well, it was he was burned in the boiler room, and it was the parents of the kids that he murdered that went after him like vigilantes. It was vigilante justice is what it was. And they torched him. They burned him. That's what it was. The parents of Elm Street murdered Fred Krueger. Is that what you're asking? Brooke, I'm so sorry. I feel like an idiot. First. Yes, no, I know it said first place and I said fireplace. Right. Yet recall what made or caused him to be burned in the first place. Crazy. I think Wes correct. Yes, that you are correct. Thank you, Dia. I read that as fireplace. It does say first place. Isn't that weird? My eyes read that as fireplace. Thank you very much, Dia. Appreciate that. Everyone's like, Dave, are you at first place? Or fireplace, it's first place. Right, his crime. Yes, that's right. It makes more sense now that I know that that's first place. Yeah, it was vigilante justice, Brooke. It was vigilante justice. Yeah, the parents of the kids of Elm Street went after him and torched him. That's what they did. If you watch the 2010 remake, I mean, listen, it's a dog shit movie. But they do actually show a flashback to that. They actually show that. So it's interesting. But that's what they did. The Rusty Lion sends in £5. Thank you very much, Rusty Lion. Really appreciate that. Says, joined the stream to see Dave with his hood up like a thug. Yeah, that's right. I have my hood up. I knew some people were going to think that because the hood is heavy and it pulls on my collar. So I just decided to pop it up. But I have no doubt there will be some people that will be watching that going, is he like gangster or whatever? What's going on here? I'm not really sure. All right, folks, listen, that is going to do it for me on episode 167 of Mcrae Live. Thank you to my amazing moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, and Chris Baber, for doing what you guys do. I saw you guys doing your work today in the chat room, and I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Thank you to all the super chat questions, of course, that came in today. I really appreciate it. And to the non-super chat questions, of course, as well. You guys are amazing. Oh, a super chat question came in under the paint, right into the paint, right into the radar, I believe. I think so. Anyway, did one come in? Maybe it's just me. Did one come in? I thought one came in under the paint, but maybe I'm wrong. Did I? Under the paint, under the radar, I meant. No, I guess I was wrong. Weird. I thought I saw one come in, but no. Guys, you guys are awesome. You know you are. And there's one, First Class Horror, 99 cents in terms of euros. I don't know how you would say that. 0.99 euros? Maybe that's it. Guys, have a great weekend. You are amazing. 4 more weeks to It's Me, Billy. We're getting ready. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon. In the meantime and in between time, alrighty, cheers.